Hey there, it's Bobby aka Paginator, and I am here today to do a what I've been reading lately part 2 for the month of July. I have 5 books to tell you about here, and I'm just going to go in the order that they are stacked on my little table here. So the first one that I have, I'll hold it like here, is Pretty Little Liars, and this is the first in the series that the TV show is based on, and I picked this up at the library. My local library is having a used book sale, and anything that you wanted to pay to donate towards getting new books for the library, you could pay. So I paid $2 for this one, and I was interested in it because my sister has been watching the TV show, like binge watching it, and she's really loving the story. So I thought I'd pick up the book and try it. And I think if I was watching the TV show, I'd like it a little bit better. But this talks so much about the clothes, and specifically the brands of clothes that the girls are wearing, that I just wanted to puke. When I was finishing up last night, if I read a brand name one more time, I felt like I was going to puke. But other than the hideous descriptions of high fashion crap that these teenage girls wear, it was an interesting story. It's very intriguing, and I do find myself kind of thinking about the characters and what's going to happen with them in the future. So if I can stand the clothing descriptions, I might continue to read. Basically, this is about 4 girls who were friends, and they have this 5th friend, but she goes missing one day, and no one knows what happened to her. But they had this other thing that happened, which they call the Jessa thing. I don't know what that is, and maybe that's part of the show. So some of you know the show or have read the books know what I'm talking about. They didn't explain it in the first one, but they have this big secret, plus this other friend went missing, and they all have their own little secrets as well. And this other friend who went missing, Allie, like, she's the only one that knows each of these individual secrets about these girls, and someone starts leaving them weird messages, and they're thinking, crap, is Allie back? What's going on? So it's a lot of drama, and that's about what I can tell you for that one. The Bird and the Blade is up next, and this one is fantastic. I loved it so much. It is a retelling of the story of Turandot, if you know Puccini's opera, and basically what happens in Turandot is Turandot is the daughter of the great Khan, who is the ruler of the Mongolian Empire at the time, and she demands that if any man's going to marry her, he has to correctly answer 3 impossible riddles. And so one of our main characters, Kalaf, decides he's going to do that. And the story is actually told to us by a servant or slave girl who is trying to save him because she loves him. Sorry, I keep looking at the window. There's distracting things over there. Sorry. And so we see most of it during flashbacks. We start the story when he's about to answer the first riddle, and then we go through flashbacks and learn about this girl who, I have to remind myself her name, Jingwa, I think is how you say it. Anyway, how she met him and how they ended up together and like building this friendship relationship story, and then what happens to them. This book made me cry at the end, so just warning for that. And it is a very heartrending, lots of feels, and just a very, very, very good story. Plus you learn a lot about the Mongol Empire, which is very interesting. I read this not too long after I read Tower of Dawn, which also is heavily influenced by the Mongol Empire, so it was interesting to compare those 2 fictionalized portrayals of that culture. Next we have Wild Blue Wonder, and I did already post an individual review for this book. It is also fantastic, and it is just really quickly the story of a girl who lives at a summer camp that her family owns, and she recently, or in the past year, has lost her friend Dylan. He passed away tragically, and she's trying to deal with life. She's got family issues with her 2 siblings. She's got romancy issues with this new boy that's moved to town that kind of likes her, but she thinks that she's a monster and he can't possibly like her because she's a monster. So anyway, there's lots happening with this book, and if you're interested in learning more about it, you can check out my individual review. Then we have My Plain Jane, which if you saw me unbox this book in the Owl Crate, you saw me freak out. I loved this book. I about halfway through started marking all the times that I laughed out loud, and there's oodles. I used so many page flags. I should have marked the whole time that I was reading the book. It is a retelling of Jane Eyre, added with some Ghostbuster-ish goodness and fun humor, as only the Lady Janies can do. Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows, fantastic. Their first book was My Lady Jane, which was about Lady Jane Grey. And then we have My Plain Jane, which is Jane Eyre. And they're going to write a third one. I'm kind of hoping for something Jane Austen. Either Jane Austen herself or maybe like Jane Bennet. That would be fun. I don't know. We'll see what they come up with. Alright, the last book that I read is actually not out yet. I got it through NetGalley. I was approved to read it ahead of time, and I'm going to be doing a written review there as well. This is People Kill People by Ellen Hopkins. So I read it as an ebook and was able to read an arc of that, and holy cow. Now, if you don't know Ellen Hopkins' work, she writes books largely written in verse, and they're very, very intense and very adult issues. This one is, as I mentioned, called People Kill People, and it is inspired by the phrase, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And we have different characters who have a potential. We're told at the beginning of the story that some of these people are going to end up using guns, and some of these people are going to have guns turned on them, but they're all interconnected in some way, the characters that we meet. And the ending blew me away. I cried. It's heartbreaking, but so timely and such an important story. I would not recommend for my students to read this because there's a lot of adult situations, both violently and sexually, in this story, and my students are a little bit too young for that, but holy cow. If you're maybe high school or older, this might be something for you to consider picking up when it does come out. So, sorry, my eyes are all over the place. Anyway, I hope that any of these books sound interesting to you, and you're certainly welcome to ask me questions about any of them or leave comments if you've read any. Tomorrow is the beginning of August, which is the beginning of the N.E.W.T reading Readathon challenge, and I'm going to try to complete some N.E.W.Ts there, and I've got my books all planned out, and I will definitely let you know what I read and if I liked it or didn't like it. So that is all for today. Have a wonderful and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.